Hi, Rohit. Really good to have you here. And before we, start talking about the the hidden gems of communication at Reliance, a question I have for you is: I believe you were handpicked by Mr. Mukesh Ambani to build a comms team. So why don't you just tell us about what went into handpicking a team, and also, making the shift from complete B2B business to a millennial business like Geo. So I'm sure it meant a lot about restructuring a team, choosing the right kind of people. So let's first just delve into you and your team.
I'm exceptionally fortunate that this became my very first comms job in a serious sense. I had a earlier life as a reporter in print and television, and also I ran an edition for a financial daily. I was also a consultant in India strategy. So I was plain fortunate to find an introduction to Mr. Ambani. It's not that there was never any corporate communications. There was, I'm sure, a series of very talented and senior people running it. But yes, a felt need was there in 2014, where I happened to be the person I would dare say at the right place. And there were a lot of senior and good people who we could bring in internally, and then some external hires, some of them not obvious choices for a public relations team, but as some of the ratings and rankings of communication teams across India has reflected, we haven't done a bad job.
And so do you want to just talk about the different skill sets that you brought to the table for the team?
Yeah, so rather than me personally, I think most important is the others who create that sum of parts. So we have folks who are hard PR, who have a very long career, sometimes spanning a few decades into the public relations domain. We have people who have done journalism for their bread and butter for equal number of decades. We have multilingual folks at that in both streams. We have production facilities which lend to the new age viewer, stroke influencer, stroke media person. So we have some interoperable skills on geographies, linguistic requirements, and media per se, print, television, internet, social media, and so on and so forth.
Interesting. And since this session is more about personal branding, I just want to be fair to all the people who dialed in. Um, Tell us a little about what are you doing, and how you're advising to build personal brands for the younger generation, which is the Akash, Ishan, Anant, because they have just about started, being at the forefront. And while Mr. Ambani, of course, he has a great personal brand, but what's the role that you and your team are doing, helping and building their personal brand?
Oh, we simply have to be good storytellers and narrators, strong narrators who capture the wonderful things that are being done in different facets of Reliance. So fundamentally, we keep tabs on what sort of newness people are bringing on the table, which are the new business ideas that are now ready to be discussed with the influencer crowd. We simply look at the narration manner in which it will be most effective. So, will it be a simple tweet? Will it be a graphic alongside a social media message? But yeah, I mean, all through these next few minutes, you will see a few of my remarks will be fairly out of line with the traditional approach to focusing on mainstream and mainstream alone. We genuinely feel that there are influencers who are in mainstream, but those who are also outside of it. And both of them converge at miraculous and different points of time of day and night. So, in a word, it's always very useful to to simply put out your story in an engaging, compelling, humble sort of way. And then the mainstream also flows in from where social has stopped. So what we have in our domain is the earned media part of social, and some statements and narrations and background papers. So we do what everyone else does, except that we are a little more fortunate than many organizations, because we have a hydrocarbons business which is a global leader. We have a narration on the digital space and the retail space and the science
Rohit,
and
if I
technology.
can we just pause a little here? We'll come to that, but I think just talking about personal brand for the three young Ambani kids, um, yeah, they have made some great speeches at the Reliance Family Day or at the launch of Reliance Jio, or even recently at the Founding Fuel, event that Facebook organized. But often when they have made these speeches, there is a string of chatter that you hear on social media, and there are a lot of memes that come up and say that "Papa ji ke bacche bhi aa gaye," and there are a lot of personal remarks that get done. So how do uh, do share with me and with people who've logged on that as a communicator, how do you deal with those situations? And if you could talk to us about a specific action that you would have taken to protect their personal brands.
I don't think that anyone who is on social media can, or in the media, can get 100% positive reinforcement. Uh, Taking certain people who are, they have some annoyance or some just fun in their heads is part of the game. So good luck to such comments. But for each such comment, there are enough people who don't comment, but who are people who we wish to communicate and influence. So in that sense, it's all right. We are all adults here. So what somebody says doesn't necessarily has to be taken on just face value, because sometimes the negative is certainly not a very pleasant experience. But while you and I are talking, if somebody writes something that "देखो लाल shirt पहन के आ गया," how does it matter? It's fine. That's just, we are privileged to have their attention, and leave it there. And the fundamental narratives are not built by occasional chattiness remarks. I would not get too pejorative about it, but on the foundation of what the company is able to bring to the various stakeholders. And there, if you are doing well, you are really congruent with the social needs, the rest will follow. And that's what has happened when we are, given the affirmation of being a valued company on the bourses, for example. That's not an accident. It is basis a certain cumulative set of actions.
Right, Rohit. And now I'll let you back. I know that, I think in the last 10 months, if there is a company that has really done a lot of phenomenal work and has also made some of the best companies in the world invest in them, it has been Reliance. So talk to us a little about that. I know that you wanted to, talk to the audience about that also. So let's hear from you about that, and then let's just carry on a chat after that.
Amrit, coming from you, these words are very comforting, and thank you so much for your kind words. I was thinking that when on the 15th of March, I was coming back from Delhi to Bombay. Um, uh, Delhi was a pandemic affected city, and Bombay was relatively safe. So that's the day I got an informal advice that, maybe you start, uh, while you are in Bombay, you start working from home rather than come to office. So in an informal way, Reliance started work from home amongst the very first corporate entities, I would think, 15th March. That was well before the Prime Minister's call, public call for us to start, working on our the whole literacy on corona had started. And from there, I think the very next day, all of us had to meet in the comms team. So we started using platforms to get together. So we used the Microsoft Teams platform, and we used WhatsApp chatbot to be integrated together. And we started meeting every day. And when we met every day, we were aware of what was happening in the country. There was so much of information, so many things that needed to be told from our perspective. So karma banta gaya, or there were many things that we brought together. And if our friend on the slide projection show would help us here and run it's just, I promise, 7 or 8 slides, and each one not more than 30 to 60 seconds each. You will, in the audience, get a sense of how all of a sudden, when you're not being able to meet, and your company is actually in at least 3 major essential services, one being retail, one being telecoms, which is the reason why 400 million people remain connected, and third being hydrocarbons, which is essentially the fuel, and how the flip was happening between domestic supply and international supply, and the philanthropy part. That was the real response and the challenge that we faced. So maybe if the first slide could be triggered, I'll try and make it fairly simple. Now, this is an iconic image of where India felt within a few days by Atul Yadav from the Press Trust of India. So he, in turn, has given this image as really, I think, a representative of a lot of what was happening in our minds, in our society. And some of these words, yes, intuitively, you got the slide right. Come to the next one. This is the kind of stuff that was happening, Amrit. Depression and despair and chaos and misery and separation. And these are some of the word clouds that, were evident from our listening teams. And when we were in this situation as a business, and we're not dividing it between comms and the others, but fundamentally in this word cloud of the nation, the next one, we wanted to evolve, and we needed to give a sense of purpose to what we were doing, and make it evident. So rather than just talk about being brave and relevant to families and to the stakeholder at large, in the next slide I'll just go over the next 4 businesses. So in the corporate social responsibility slide, which will just follow, if you can just trigger that. We went into the entire GAMU. We thought, right at the bottom of the screen, you will see a drone shot of Seven Hills Hospital in Bombay. Now that hospital existed, but to convert it into a COVID facility, we had all of 13 working days, Amrit. And in 13 days, we made the first COVID hospital active with equipment and training and doctors and whatever human beings knew at that time about the virus, and addressing it was attempted within 13 days of the project being taken up. And then we had to communicate this to the people so that people knew this existed. And from Anna Seva, right on top on the left, you will see on your screens. Anna Seva is, across multiple districts of India, some 5.5 crore, 5.5 crore meals were distributed to those who were, most relevant, the frontline warriors, the police, the medical staff, and across geographies. And it wasn't just limited to narrating stories of Anna Seva or Seven Hills Hospital. Pashu Seva was also something we thought is part of the game, because a lot of people were not able to step out and take care of animals that they normally would in the normal case. And likewise, addressing to even needs of ambulances and simple, infrastructure which was required to provide this succor to people. The petrol pumps started giving fuel to designated vehicles, and those numbers are not important, but the intent and the ability of the organization to put boots on the ground and to make sure that there was a lot of confusion sometimes on what is essential service, which vehicle will be allowed in, which will not have to, which will not pass muster, who has the designated badges to get in into an area or not. So amidst all this, a certain narrative of what I said right at the outset about video, social media, white papers, statement or two occasionally was what started happening. And then I go to the second of the four promised slides, from narrating this story to the next slide, which will be very useful. This is on the corporate side, that while we were running the social responsibility piece in the corporate mode, there was a lot of back-end work that had already happened relating to our narrative about digital India. And we went through a rights issue. The rights issue was perhaps amongst the first, the 10 largest rights issues. I beg your pardon, the largest rights issue in the world in the last 10 years by a non-financial company. And it was all accomplished at the back of Digital India. In the older days, Amrit, one would have to stand in a queue in a bank, fill in multiple forms, all kinds of linkages would have to be physical. But in this case, it was not just the size and the promise of being a party to the larger growth of Reliance story. It all happened digitally, and we also did in Copcoms a small, our own role, including what I'm very proud of. Our friends in Haptic helped us make the first chat bot, which had an ability to explain what was going on. There was a multiple fundraise, which I think everybody probably might have heard in the passing. Multiple investors in geo platforms came during this period. So essentially to capture their stories, and some of them, including Facebook that you're familiar with, was at 5 or 5:30 in the morning. So to make sure that the media, Indian media, did not miss the story and got it at 5:30 without letting the cat out of the bag till the statement went in, needed some goodwill and friendship to say, please wake up at 5 o'clock. There is something worth your while. And they'll say, okay, tell me, but what is it? But you can't tell them everything. So this was also happening. And likewise in Reliance Retail, some investors came in, and the quality of investors was another, the good fortune of Copcom's team was to explain how some of them are pedigreed sovereign funds, some of them are high-tech companies, and their presence in the room is going to add further value than just the money alone. So, Qualcomm and Intel and Google and Facebook, and these really helped each one to know a little bit more about their working and their funds. So this was also happening in the midst of the corporate social responsibility piece, as well as 5.5 crore meals, like I said, being flawlessly and scientifically distributed to the vulnerable points that we could address as a corporate. Uh, the third of the four slides I promised is on the digital part. So the digital part I partly covered, but fundamentally, to keep the network up wasn't so obvious as an easy task, because as you see in the picture right in the middle, where some of our brave colleagues are standing in the feet or 2.5 feet of snow, is that the network had to be serviced and maintained, and certain restrictions were there from the regulatory side in terms of public safety, yet to be able to service people and make sure that children could study, banking transactions went on, and all other life that has been has coalesced around digital is also going on as far as possible. I mean, the poser sometimes I would say to my media colleagues was that, what if, God forbid, the COVID had happened 5 years back or 8 years back? How difficult it would have been for a child to study, or for someone to work out of home, or someone to do digital payments, and so on and so forth. So I think we are very fortunate to have the India stack running, and Jio has had a small role in making sure that India's tech meant something to not only people who are the haves, but also through our geophone and the image you saw right at the outset. The geophone is a very affordable feature phone, which we call India ka smartphone. And there again, the ability of the relatively poorer sections of society to be able to retain 4G connectivity and make sure that their livelihoods and safety is by far possible, connected. The example being, shall we say, even the MyGov chatbot which Haptic made to make sure that certain things like certain rumors and certain misinformation could be addressed, and even things like
Rohit, we have a
samachar
lot of
zyada
audience
khatne.
questions, so could we just be a little faster? Because I do want to do justice to the audience questions.
Yeah, I can stop.
Okay, great. I think this is wonderful. But I do want, because there are a lot of young enthusiasts who want to grab the opportunity of having answers from you. So this is from Minol Ejikar. He says, what do you think public relations will look like in 2025?
2025, it will be just as important as it is. uh, the future of public relations will be uh, much more digital than we ever think it would be. You would also probably see a far more video, far less text, far more mapping of every influencer than perceptual at this moment. Um, Brands will have to be far more responsive, if not faster. And you will have to also take into stride people who are asking you hard questions and be able to respond to them almost 24/7. This business of 10 to 6 will go forever, go out of the window.
So just on that, there is a hard question that I have, and there's a hard question from the audience. The audience question is: there's how do com teams manage a huge flow of negative news that is a constant? And my hard question is that in spite of such great work being done and so many investments being attracted, trust deficit definitely leads to an erosion to a personal brand, and Reliance often faces a trust deficit. So, some light on how do you and your team deal with this trust deficit, and maybe an example of one particular thing when you tackle the trust deficit. I think that would be very helpful.
I'm not sure I will be able to empathize with the trust deficit part because, you know, the 25 lakh shareholders certainly have the largest volume of people who trust. That's why they are holders of our stock. 400 million people have the Geo SIM, so clearly they trust us, which is why we are there. And likewise, I could go on about the number of footfalls in our retail stores and so on and so forth. But even if a few people have some reasons which they think are relevant, we try and address them by way of breaking it into the, measurable problem and solve it. So for example, if you have bought something from a retail store and you want to make sure that it is refunded, there's a refund issue or a return issue. The idea is to achieve closure around the specifics rather than in a semantic sense that I don't trust, in which case you would not have gone and bought as well. So whoever specifically has an issue, our processes are increasingly able to address them fast. But you'll also appreciate, Amrit, that the social media is the first channel to complain. Not often do people these days go to even the chat line or the helpline of a company. They first broadcast their problem, and therefore sometimes when you see that, you feel, oh, there's a lot of people who are saying the same. Whereas those
Yeah,
who are satisfied.
I think what you're addressing is more a customer grievance issue, but I think we are talking about a much larger brand trust issue. Just like the farmer rallies going on right now, there has been this whole narrative around that there is a role that the government is playing so that they can help Reliance. And your statement came almost about 20-25 days after everything has been literally being brewing, and also basically telling the government that you should probably be doing something to make sure that the Reliance towers don't get broken down, and some of the people who've been leaving the platform don't leave. So that just leads with a larger policy trust deficit and brand deficit. So if there is, you would like, I mean, if you could throw some light on that, that would be very, very helpful for the audience.
So it's not trust deficit here, I would dare say. I think it is in this case plain misinformation that Reliance is into contract farming and all the other aspects that were dealt with the statement that probably you have seen 20, which you say after 25 days. Uh, I think the crucial input is that we are not into corporate farming. We do not give contracts in advance and prices in advance, or any whatever the contractual issues that some people had been thinking we will be the beneficiaries of the three farm laws. And we have said it on the omni-channel way, through pamphlets, through newspaper articles, or other press statement. It came extensively on television, and we leave it there. Now, as far as the towers are concerned, they are a very important symbol of digital India. And some farmers who, under the misimpression that Reliance is part of the farm law thought process of the government, or Reliance is an eventual beneficiary at any rate, decided to take them on as the symbol of whatever they thought was going on. But after we have explained and laid out the facts, you would have noticed that the story of attacking towers has gone. So I think you have a larger point well made, that direct information and simple information in media that people consume, whether it's mass media or social media or plain WhatsApp text and what have you, does give information a chance. And until then, this business of trust and deficit can be discussed in an abstraction. But since you brought the issue of Punjab farmer and the people becoming a little restive against them, well, now no towers are being discussed in the same light. At the peak, some 1,500 of the 9,000 towers had been impacted. But no sooner we decided that no, we will like to communicate the factual position on the ground. I think everybody understood this almost immediately. Of course, it takes some time to back off from a perception or a misinformation that you were victim to. But it's been all right once the information was brought in as simple, multilingual, multi-format, multimedia way.
So again, I'm going to, a last question, because I think we're going to be out of time. I'm going to club a personal question and a question from Divya Singh. She wants to ask, who's the communication leader that inspires you and why? And I want to say that, Rohit, you have such an illustrious background. You've gone to the best institutions, St. Stephen's, Harvard, Westminster, Peter Shriving Scholar, and more. So who do you, reach out to for inspiration, and who's your communication role model that you have?
Uh, can I give you an honest answer?
Yes, that only honesty.
Yes. You know, I work for a communication leader who understands the value of communication and who communicates very, very straightforwardly. So that's where the role of comms in Reliance is pretty helpful. So we don't limit it to somebody who holds the title of assistant vice president, senior vice president, president, and all. But it emanates from Mr. Mukesh Ambani. He listens, he processes, he is able to analyze multiple scenarios, and he is able to then even in the face of competing information claims or thought processes, ultimately a very simple, easy to replicate, and the whole narrative is then shaped basis a lot of inputs that go in. So you could say that we were 25 days after the narrative started, but a large company like ours, if we react to it right at the beginning, people say, "Oh, you started reacting even before anything major has happened." So even the sense of timing, the sense of proportion, the narration and the content, and linking it to even invoking the majesty of the High Court of Punjab and Haryana in this instant case, requires a mix of hard communication expertise on the table, but a business call, a corporate social responsibility call, as well as a corporate affairs call. So I think it can only happen in the hands of leaderships who run companies and not necessarily the communication professionals. But the ability to integrate the best of multiple skills is where I am giving you the honest answer to your very straight question. I didn't expect it, frankly.
So, I mean, is it that you don't have a role model? Your role model is Mr. Mukesh Ambani?
I do have a role model, and that role model, I felt maybe you would expect me to talk about a comms leader of a global
Yes.
company or a professor in some Ivy League institution handling the communication piece. But what I see in MDA, as we call him, is ability to bring together multiple requirements of the business and process them, competing claims at that, and have the capacity to then explain to us what he thinks we should be doing, and finally be therefore measured upon as well. So a clear objective begets and creates a reasonably congruent outcome. That's why I chose to name him unequivocally, and with him, of course, needless to say, Mr. Manoj Modi, who very few people know, but his ability to do the same. My L1, Mr. B. Srinivasan, who is again the executive director on the board, and the executive council bringing together the comms piece. There may be three people, so I'm not really answering the question of one, but in Reliance, the ability to keep multiple thought processes and then finally emerge as one becomes very, very useful and very relevant. So the three of them, as I name them, actually come to me as one human being who ultimately is at the fountain.
That's wonderful. It's really nice to see, how passionate you are about the brand and about your leaders. My closing question: if you were not working for Reliance, where do you think that you would have been working? One brand which you aspired for.
Uh, I would, at the risk of becoming unemployable, I would not work for an international company. I would always work for an Indian company. This may be something, a bee in my bonnet, or my training in history and whatever pride I feel for my country, but I will never work for an international company. And therefore, what is left? If you're working for Reliance, you're working for Reliance. Otherwise, I have some interest, passing interest, more than passing interest in mangoes and wildlife conservation. I would do something like that. I would not work in a comms company outside of Reliance, and certainly not outside of India.
Great. That's, I think, wonderful. And I think we've all learned also of how to answer some tough questions. Rohit, it's been wonderful having you and chatting with you. Some closing remarks for all the aspiring comms people on this chat. They would love to know that what does it take to reach, be a communication lead for a large brand? Give us some nuggets of how you groom your team and two, three tips for people on the who are listening in, because I'm sure everybody would aspire to be a lot like you.
That's very kind. I don't know if the last part is very true, but for sure, the people, when I listen to them, I feel that what is my role? And my role is fundamentally to attract and retain the best idea, not necessarily the best person sometimes. So the ability and the empathy to be even listening to them opening out, bringing on a certain thought process, talking about who is their what is their family going through right now, how much they are able to read outside of the Reliance ecosystem, but including in each of these areas I talked about, the digital space, the retail space, the hydrocarbon space, the science and technology space, what is happening elsewhere. So if you were to ask me about one, two, three, the first thing is knowledge outside your comfort zone. So if you are continuously upgrading, not by virtue of doing the number of courses that are floating around, but fundamentally using every single opportunity to read, to check. For example, a lot of these WhatsApp forwards come and they look very real, but the ability to go back to the internet and see very hard as to which of them are fact and which of them are fiction or deep fakes is a training which also leads you to see uh, facts in a slightly different way each time you dive deeper. Like, just as an example, somebody was saying, okay, the British Prime Minister is not coming to Republic Day. Now, strictly, that is nothing to do with our comms narrative. But in our call, we spent nearly 20 minutes day before yesterday talking about when was the last time somebody did not come to the Indian Republic Day, who is the maximum attendee, which country has had the maximum number of appearances as the chief guest, what sort of role is played by the diplomacy in making sure that somebody can come even at the last minute without necessarily offending them by not giving them enough notice. Now you will say, what is all this? This is nothing to do with Reliance and stories and tweets and videos. But the amount of detailing that we have done on what is the way in which Mr. Trump could have handled? Is this the social media narrative of the year or the decade where Facebook and Twitter and everyone is simultaneously getting after that account? What could he have done differently? Those are things which essentially are outside of our comfort zone. But everything at some stage helps when we are in the midst of war, in the midst of a communication objective. The lateral abilities do not come by way of a statement. They come by way of reading and absorbing and chiseling and polishing together. And then the bonding happens. I mean, on Saturday, which is today, we don't have our 1.5, 2 hour call. We have it totally voluntary. But a lot of people come there because they say that this is very entertaining and this is not about jokes and singing and all, which sometimes happens, all right, even in a seemingly serious company like ours. But these are about, things which somebody starts talking about, which are very, very intersectoral, and we reach a certain level of connectivity and bonding on issues which are really forthcoming, which are very worthwhile because of that. So I think the ability to have people with differing skill sets, differing points of view, and yet when the decision is finally taken jointly, everyone forgetting about where they got it from, but to being able to espouse it with in one voice is what is the big privilege of my life, which is why I discounted myself for any international or Indian alternatives. I preferred mangoes and tiger tracking.
Thank you, Rohit. This has been an amazing conversation, and I think I learned so much, and I'm sure people on the who've dialed in have also learned. It's been a pleasure interacting with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amrit. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be spoken with, and you didn't leave me easily as you had promised. You got everything in, and I hope it was worth your time. I look forward to seeing you some
Thank
other
you very
time.
much. Bye. Bye. Bye.